Hey guys, this is Hayes with CheatSheetPros.com. Today is Monday, February 7th, and we're going to take a look at some player props for the NBA 5-game slate. As always, if you'd like to play with our cheat sheets, they are in our Facebook group for free on Thursdays. The link is in the description. And make sure to go ahead and subscribe, as we're going to do a lot more videos in 2022. So today we're going to take a look at the NBA cheat sheet, and we're also going to look at the new DVP tab. So these are some of the plays that I've posted already that I like. The Klay Thompson over 3 assists, Bridges over 3 assists, Plumlee over 8.5 rebounds, Donovan Mitchell over 3 3-point shots made. Those are my favorite 4. And then if you want a 5th leg, Siakam over 36.5 points, rebounds, and assists. So this is what I have put up so far, but let's go ahead and flip through all of the games. So as always, we pull up the NBA cheat sheet. We're going to go down here to this last 7 tab, which is for our player props. We're going to sort this points, rebounds, assists from high to low. And then I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the low minute players. So we're just going to go filter out. We want to see greater than, equal to 20 minutes. And then that's going to get rid of all the sub 20 minute players, so you don't have to worry about ciphering through them. And then flipping down through here, these are the top guys I'm going to kind of look at and look at their different stats. And then we're going to go across this points, rebounds, and assists and see where people stick out. So these are some of the guys we're going to go over. So we're going to look at Randall, DeRozan, Klay Thompson, Vooch, Barrett, Dort's not up yet, Bridges, and then just kind of go down the list. Siakam's on there. And then I like to go to the points and look at the differences of these. And you can see the ones that are drastically different. And then we can come over here, we can sort by rebounds, see the ones that are different, like Bojan, however you say his name. Plumlee's in there. He was one of our plays that we put up early. And then assist, you can see Klay is one that popped up for assist. He's one we're going to take a look at. And then we're just going to kind of go down the list and tinker out some guys. Now the new DVP tab, we're going to take a look at it. I'm going to go ahead and remove the filter to show you the full. So this has every NBA team on it, and then I just have it default to no game if they don't have a game, and then if they do, I put it in there, and then I go through and I just filter this out and say, okay, well, these are the only ones that are playing, but I'm going to take this off. So this is all fantasy point information over the last 10 games, ranking for fantasy points. But this is the new part over here that we're going to look at for DVP that we're going to use for player props. So we've got this is for our big guys here. We got points in the paint, the percentage of total points allowed, and then we put it in a ranking form, and then 3-pointers. So there's a contrarian theory. So some people look at 3-pointers made, but you don't have a ton of control over that. I guess you do have some, but 3-point attempts is more predictive of a team that's giving up a lot of 3-pointers. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to pull them both in and rank them, and then we can look at them side by side, and you can decide for yourself. So this is basically the 3-point data. And then these are the rebounds allowed and assists allowed per team in a ranking format over the last 10 games. So we're taking a grab of data, just the last 10 games, and seeing where the blips are on the radar. And then in the last video, I had talked about doing fouls and free throw attempts. So I thought this would be kind of fun to bring in and see what teams are giving up the most free throw attempts, which you could see like so right here. So Minnesota is fouling the most and giving up the second most free throw attempts. So this is something kind of fun if you find a guy that's making a lot of free throws. I know Price Pick has some free throw props. I put this in here just for people to play with. But let's go ahead and take a look at what we got today. So I'm going to go ahead and show you these. So points in the paint, I'm going to sort percentage high to low. So teams giving up a big amount of points in the paint are going to be Oklahoma City, Toronto, and Chicago. So we're looking for players on Golden State, Charlotte, and Phoenix for big men that are going to score, a lot of points in the paint. So we're going to look at them. The ones with tougher matchups are going to be the inside guys for Chicago, Utah, and Washington. And then we're going to look at the 3-pointers. So if we sort it by 3-point made, you can see we bring up Phoenix, Toronto, and Utah. So those are the kind of the perimeter guys we want to look for. And if we do 3 points attempts, we get Washington, Golden State, Utah, Toronto, kind of that range. And then if we flip over here to rebounds, we can see we have two poor rebounding teams in Oklahoma City and Washington, so we want to find big rebound guys for Golden State, Miami, and even Toronto. And then for assist, I don't know how predictive it is on assist. I think that's more player focused, but if you want to look at that, then Charlotte, Phoenix, and Golden State are the players that are going to have the most opportunities for assist, as those opponent teams give up the most assists. So let's go ahead and take a look at that for now. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull up Prize Picks, and let me see if I can get this a little wider for you. All right, so some of the guys we want to take a look at. Let's go ahead and look over some of my favorite plays. So assist for Golden State was one, and Klay Thompson jumps out at me. So you can see he's been over this in 3 of the last 5 games. He's just coming off of a game with 7 assists. He also has games of 3, 2, 4, and 6. So it is a little risky, but 3 gives us a push. If it's 3.5, I'd probably stay away, but at 3 on the dot, I like it. That would give us 3 wins in the last 5 games and 1 push for a 3-1-1 record. So tonight I like Klay Thompson to go over 3 assists. And like we said, Oklahoma City is giving up the 23rd most assists per game. So I don't know if that's predictive or not, but it's fun to play with. So let's go with it. The other one, Charlotte. So Toronto's given up the 27th most assists. And so when I was flipping through players for Charlotte, Bridges popped up. And at 3 assists, he has 5 and 7 the last 2 games. So 12 across 2 games is good. And then I didn't look at the game logs for 0 to see if he even played any minutes there. But then 2 and 6. So in 3 of the last 5 games, he's pretty much doubled it. And I don't know if he played this game or just didn't have any assists. But I like him to go over 3. Like we said, 3 gives us a push. So if you put Klay Thompson over 3 and Miles over 3, that's kind of a easy 2 card to hit. But as always, we want to keep digging. The other one that jumped out at me was I wanted a perimeter shooter for Utah because the opponent was giving up the 24th and 25th most 3-point attempts and 3-point field goals made. So I looked at his points prop at first, but it's kind of up and down. But he was gone. He just came back and scored 27. So we could probably expect him to do something like that again. But the Knicks do play slow. So likely this game with Brooklyn, they scored more points than what they will with the Knicks, but his line is 24.5, so that's kind of high for me. So when I was flipping around looking at stuff, one that did jump out was his 3-point shots made, and so he just came back and made 6 against Brooklyn. Typically, a guy coming back from a long layoff, I would expect to be rusty, maybe hit 1 or 2. That's typically what I've seen in the past, but his first game back, he hit 6. And now he gets a team that's giving up a ton of 3-point shots, and 3 gives us the push. I like him to go over the 3. And then moving on, the 4th leg of this card, we needed someone from Charlotte in rebounding. So I wanted to take a look, and as I was digging through these guys, Plumlee is the one that came up at 8.5 rebounds. So when I went to look at his last 5-game logs, he's been over this 5 games straight. So he's on a 5-0 run. He's averaging 13 rebounds per game. And then Toronto's giving up the 22nd most rebounds. That paired with him going 5-0 and then having these massive games of 17 and 17, I like him to go over. So that's my 4-leg card that I locked in already. If you would like a 5th leg, because I know a lot of people don't like to do just 4. So I like going something with Siakam here. Points, rebounds, assist is what I ended up settling on, just because he's got 46 and 45 the last 2 games. Looking at the last 10 game logs, he's always top 2 on a lot of the major stats. So I don't think he liked Gary Trent scoring all the points, so he kind of stepped in and took over. But what I like is these 2 games that he was under, he had a floor of 34 and 35, so he was right there. And then he's over it the rest of the time, and he's someone that's highly involved. And this is a game that could have a potential high-scoring back-and-forth game, so I like him to go over PRA. When I look at his points, he's had a couple games way over that and then 2 under that, so that's not bad. I prefer the points, rebounds, assists, just because you can see these rebounds, these games where he grabs a ton. He had 13, 14, and 13. That's going to give you a little bit of a boost, and he's guaranteed for about 20 points, so that puts you about 32, 33, and then he gives you a handful of assists to get you up to that 34, 35 number, so I think it's easier for him to get over when you're encompassing everything together. And then fantasy score, it's kind of about the same as everything else. this is interesting, the free throws made, but I'm going to save that for another video. I'm doing some research on it right now. So those are the 5 that I like. Some of the other ones that I didn't write up, but I want to go over and kind of show you that are interesting to me. One is Mike Conley. So Donovan Mitchell's back, so Conley is purely going to run with the second team now. But, I mean, he's 5-0 over this 13.5 points. Now, Donovan Mitchell did come back last game, so he had 14, so that's something I would watch out for. These other games, Donovan Mitchell wasn't playing, so of course he went over it. But he does have 1 game over, so that's kind of interesting for me. I don't think it's tough for him to get 14 points, especially on a team that's giving up a lot of points on the perimeter. So Conley going over would be one of the ones that I do like. And then also, what was it? His fantasy points. That one kind of jumped at me. So his fantasy score is 29.5, and he's pretty much over that every time, but it's kind of like his points. You know, he's right over that number, so I don't mind it. I don't have any of him yet, but it is interesting. Other teams that have a good DVP for perimeter shooting is we want to target Toronto players. So we're going to look at Van Vliet. So Van Vliet points is interesting. He went on kind of a dud for a little bit, but then he's got 21 plus in each of the last 3 games going over this number. So it's always going to be Van Vliet or Siakam's going to have that game where he goes over, and then who knows with Gary Trent. But Gary Trent's the other guy that's interesting. He had that stretch of games where he was just dropping 32, 33 points every single game, just lighting it up from the outside. And we were on him, and then we were off of him, and then he missed one, and then he ended up getting over on this one because they dropped it to 18.5. But now they've moved it up to 19.5. So with this run of 30s, I don't mind it. I don't have any of him yet. I want to kind of wait and see what happens if he was just on a hot streak and he's coming down. But they do have a lot of opportunity on the perimeter, and he is a pure perimeter shooter. So this is something he could sneak up and get over that 19.5 points. And then going down the list, points in the paint, that's one I want to show you again. So points in the paint, let's go ahead and just sort this high to low. So the main 3 teams that give up the most points in the paint are Toronto, Chicago, and OKC. So we want to look for Charlotte, Phoenix, and Golden State. Those are the guys that we want to look at. So when we come over here and we take a look at points in the paint, one of the guys that comes up for Phoenix is Bridges. So when we're looking at Bridges, he had a stretch here where he had 24, 27, 26, and 18 points flying over this 14.5 number. And he's projected for about the same amount of minutes as what he's been playing, so I don't expect a huge fall off. Now, we did have this game against Washington where he only had 12 points, but again, he was right there. So he was only 2.5 points away from going over. And in a game against Chicago, if they're giving up points in the paint, he could be one of the primary options down low. And the other one is DeAndre Ayton. So that game where he did kind of fall off, Ayton blew up for 20 points. So one of these guys is going to go over, either Bridges, Ayton, or possibly both. Ayton's sitting with a 16.5 point line, which I think that was higher earlier. No, I wrote it down at 16.5. And he's been kind of all over the place. He only had 6 against Atlanta, 12, 6, and then 27. So risky here with 3 of the last 5 going under, but coming off of a game of 20, 16.5, I don't mind that line. One of those guys is going to be in most of my lines that I run tonight. And then taking a look, we did the rebounds with Plumlee, and just a couple of the other ones that jump out at me, but they're not necessarily good DVP plays. And one is Nikola. So looking at his points over here, he's been over this number of 19.5 in 4 of the last 5 games. He's averaging 26.2 points, which is well over this 19.5 number. And he's got 23, 36, 30, 18, and 23. So the one game he did miss, he had 18, so he was kind of right there. So I kind of like that. Now, it is going up against Phoenix, and they're not the best DVP spot. But again, I don't want to put a ton of salt in this. So they're giving up 43 points in the paint. It's 39% of the total points they allow, and it's the 6th least in the NBA. So, but I kind of follow the player for about 70% of it, and then just DVPs like a little slither of the pie that you want to take a look at. But I like him to go over 19.5 points because they're going to need him if they're going to hang in this game and compete. And then one of the other ones that was a lot of fun that I marked as one of my players here is Bogdanovich, and we had 4.5 rebounds. So looking at it, let's see what the Knicks are giving up as far as rebounds. All right, so the Knicks are giving up rebounds. All right, so they're giving up the 10th least amount of rebounds. So I put that down as not a great DVP, but just something to take with a grain of salt. But his number of 4.5, the last 2 games he's had 18 combined, 11 and 7, and then prior to that just 4, 2, 3. But with 11 and 7 over the last 2, I think you can take a shot here at 4.5 rebounds. He's projected to play the normal amount of minutes that he's been averaging over the last 5 games, so I don't see any issues there. And with him doubling this number and almost tripling it, I like that to go over 4.5. I like these little numbers that you can kind of squeak over. You don't need like Booker to score 31.5 points. It's something where he could sneak over this pretty quick, and it kind of goes under the radar. Another one, let's see, we did Pascal Siakam, we did Conley. Points in the paint. One other guy I wanted to look at was not Lookie, but Looney. So looking at Kevin Looney here, 7.5 points, and like we saw back up here, so Oklahoma City is giving up 49.2 points in the paint, which is 18th most, and 46% of the points they allow, so a large percentage of what they allow are points in the paint. And they're also 30th in rebounding. So any big men for Golden State look good. So Kevin Looney was the one that had the props up, and so 7.5 points seems like a small number. It is risky because he doesn't play a ton of minutes, but he's got 10, 12, 7, 6, and 7. But with 10 and 12 the last 2 games, we just need him to get 8 tonight, and it's in a good spot. And they're a 12.5 point favorite, so it could be a blowout, and he might get a little extra run at the end of the game. So I like him to squeak over that 7.5 number. But anyways, that's what I got so far. Feel free to put any plays you like in the comments. I love to see what you guys think and what you guys have for your cards. And good luck